Delirium or dementia, does it matter? I hope to convince you during this talk that it does, as I tell you about my MD work into meta-analysing and synthesising the international clinical guidelines about how to identify delirium. Delirium is one of the most common medical emergencies. It can affect anyone, and it's found in up to 20% of adults in hospital. Delirium is a sudden acute mental change in function, which is accompanied by an acute illness, and it occurs over just hours or days. It normally improves when whatever is causing it resolves, like having low oxygen or having low blood glucose. This contrasts with the dementias, which typically occur over many years and don't have a reversible cause. Delirium can manifest in many ways, such as being less aware of your surroundings, being confused, having dreams that are frightening and which can continue even when you're awake, and hearing or seeing things which aren't real. Just imagine how frightened you would be in an inverted, distorted nightmare world, perhaps a bit like the chap on the slide that you see. Why then is it vital to spot delirium apart from helping to alleviate these awful symptoms that people experience? Well, undetected delirium can mean that the underlying cause of it isn't treated, and that this is linked to objective negative patient outcomes, such as increased length of hospital stay, increased mortality rates, increased need for long-term care, and it costs about $150 billion annually in the United States and about 170 billion euro in the EU. Despite these huge human, system, and financial costs, delirium is often missed. The lack of a blood test or a scan means it can be a hard to spot syndrome. It relies on clinical judgment in combination with other things such as the 4AT test, which is recommended by the Scottish Intercollegiate Clinical Guideline Network here in Scotland. My research aims to give fellow clinicians a synthesis of the most up-to-date, most robust and most evidence-based means to spot delirium in an easily accessible form that potentially could be used at the bedside. And finally, I hope that you can see that although delirium and dementia are distinct conditions, it is possible to have both of them at the same time, just to add to the confusion. And finally, if anyone would like to become a delirium dux, I can highly recommend the Signed Delirium Patient and Carer booklet. It's a great place to start because it can affect anyone, anywhere. Thank you for listening.